Welcome to Crypto Sapiens, a show that hosts lively discussions with innovative Web3 builders to help you learn about decentralized money systems, including Ethereum, Bitcoin, and DeFi. The podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and it is not financial advice. Crypto Sapiens is presented in partnership with Bankless DAO, a movement for pioneers seeking freedom from the limitations of the traditional financial system. Bankless DAO will help the world go bankless by creating user-friendly on-ramps for people to discover decentralized financial technologies through education, media, and culture. Hello, and welcome back to Crypto Sapiens. And today, we are talking to Tesa, self-described cat herder at Fight Club. We start the conversation with her describing her journey to becoming a Bankless DAO member in its early days and the role the DAO played in launching Fight Club. This conversation was super enlightening, especially in learning about the similarities and differences between traditional venture funds and venture DAOs, from membership, deal flows, to governance. We also discuss Fight Club's upcoming Black Glove public mint, how you can earn your own glove, and the launch of their second educational cohort. So without further ado, let's get started.
I think it started with me basically like everybody else. I was just a premium subscriber to the Bankless newsletter. My day job is running a hedge fund. So, obviously I was learning about DeFi. I was, doing all the things, and the Bankless newsletter was a source of information. And when they dropped their bank token, all of a sudden I found myself in a DAO. And that's when you're like, okay, great. And now I'm in a DAO. Let's DAO. Let's DAO it. That's kind of how everything got started. And it kind of built on the idea that, there's a lot of great people within Bankless DAO. There's a lot of kind of leverage to the Bankless brand. So why not try to create a venture DAO around it? And I spent a lot of time researching venture DAOs, and I did a piece for the program. I had to stop because I'm such a slow writer. I would write my stories, and then it would take me like a few months, and then by the time I finished my article, something would change, and I'd be like, "No, I have to change it," and I was just way too slow as a writer. But I digress. So that's actually what Fight Club started as. It started as a singular venture DAO, which is why we couldn't talk about it in the first place, because venture DAOs were basically like mini funds, and for SEC regulation, you can't really talk about venture DAOs in a public setting. So at that point in time, Bankless DAO was having weekly community calls open to the public for some of the legal advice or advice from the legal guild. It was better not to really talk about it in public. So until we were able to have our own Discord, and Fight Club kind of organically morphed from a singular venture DAO into a platform of venture DAOs with educational programs. At that point, we were able to talk about it because now we're something beyond a singular venture DAO. We're much more than that. So yeah, that's basically the genesis behind Fight Club right there.
That's amazing. So it sounds like you came into the space with experience in venture funding. You said you were leading a crypto hedge fund before joining Bankless DAO?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say so much in terms of venture funding. Like I've done angel investments, but not so much in venture funding. More so my hedge fund is more like a market neutral hedge fund. So definitely my background is within traditional. I'm a hard fi, coming from quantitative trading. So that's what my background is.
That's amazing. Look, I have a lot of respect for anybody who comes from that background, because just generally I have no idea what the heck is going on. I think that you're in this space long enough, you're building something, you're going to need to deal with investment, right? Whether that is community-backed investment or that is, venture fund-backed investment, you're going to need to deal with that. And so having an understanding for how that world works, I'm sure pays dividends, right? No pun intended there, in terms of how you can build out good model that is investable, that you can have conversations that are intelligent with people who are interested in your project and supporting it through some sort of funding. So yeah, I think that is an incredibly valuable kind of background to have when you're coming into the space. Certainly probably has some influence to some of the decisions that you make generally in this space as well, because we all become these community owners of projects. And so maybe we can make much more informed decisions when we jump into a DAO and choose to support it, or any other project for that matter. So yeah, that's really awesome. So talk to me a little bit about Fight Club, right? So in the beginning, you were saying you couldn't talk about Fight Club, and it sounds like you got good, sound legal advice there. We're now talking about Fight Club. So what changed? Like, what was that transition from then to now where we can talk about it? And we'll maybe use that as a way to springboard into some of the other things that are being built there.
I think really the main change happened primarily when we had a Fight Club had a collaboration with FTW for the Wind DAO to create an educational program. So our first educational program was how to become a venture analyst. And then as soon as we had that educational program, it kind of became a point where, okay, Fight Club is more than a singular venture DAO now. Now we can actually talk about it because we can talk about the educational program. And then, during that process, it became clear that we had, I think, the NFT club from Bankless DAO on board, and they kind of expressed some interest in terms of like, okay, we could probably spin something up similar to Flamingo DAO. We've kind of figured out the ins and outs and logistics of creating a venture DAO. So, what's stopping us from creating an NFT Flamingo DAO? Bankless version. So at that point, I think that's when it really kind of clicked that that Fight Club could be more than just one venture DAO. We could become a platform of venture DAOs. And we can use the same educational program to generate analysts and then pair those analysts with actual analysts within the VC space so that we could create due diligence teams. And now people are able to, gain experience working on deals and doing the actual research. And when soulbound NFTs came out, that's when it like clicked again, where it's like, okay, great. Now that people are working on deals, we can give them a NFT, or a POAP. The NFT works better than the POAP because it's non-transferable. So we could give them a soulbound NFT. So now they can build their online resume. So everything that Fight Club has become has been really organic in terms of like evolving from that initial concept of a singular venture DAO. And it's been great because all of these concepts have come internally from Fight Club members. So it's been an exciting process.
Well, that's cool. So there's a few things I want to unpack there, but let's start with the educational program. And for those not familiar with FTW DAO, for the Wind DAO, they are also a venture fund, decentralized venture fund. So awesome to see that there's collaboration in that space from the early stage. So walk me through how that came to be. Like I think that there are some people from FTW in the Bankless DAO community as well. So how was that relationship formed? What was kind of the thinking behind developing educational programs around maybe investing? And then, what did that first cohort look like?
Yeah, so it basically started because Liza _CH and Kahuna, they're the heads of FTW DAO, and they were in Bankless DAO and they joined Fight Club. So, they're skirting both DAOs, and really there's no reason to, I think at least in this early stage or even in a later stage, to find other venture DAOs as competitors. We did a roundtable early on with some of the other venture DAOs, including like Peter Pan from Metacartel Ventures, Honey DAO, and some of the Stacker Ventures. And everybody was really nice, and we learned a lot about it. So especially in crypto, everybody's so collaborative. There really wasn't any reason for to not work with FTW DAO. So yeah, when Liza CH and Kahuna said they wanted to do this educational program, it seemed like everybody else in Fight Club were definitely on board and game with it, and also within the Bankless DAO community. So it was one of those, services like, sure, it wins, everybody wins at this program. And that's kind of what our first collaboration, how it started.
Yeah. And again, just a bit of background for anybody who doesn't know, Bankless DAO is the connective tissue that I think connects a lot of us here. So Crypto Sapiens, Fight Club, FTW, like there are people within this community that have grown together from the dawn of the Bankless DAO and then have created projects that each kind of touches in, the Web3 space in different ways. But We're all friends. We all care for one another. We all are fans. At least I'll speak for myself. I'm a fan of the projects that are being developed within that community. And yeah, huge supporters for people and ideas and projects. So cool to see that those conversations started within that community, and then to see how they blossomed into this, first initiative. So you then mentioned talking to the NFT Club and looking at some of the other DAOs that are formed around this idea of, decentralized venture funding, and then working together with them to create what? What is it that was born from those discussions?
Oh, so I think what was born from those discussions was the idea that, Fight Club should be a platform for venture DAOs. And then it kind of clicked into place that, okay, if you have a platform of venture DAOs and, you want to support an educational program, now you're kind of operating on an endowment model where you have a treasury, right, that you want to co-invest in these venture DAOs, because you need to grow something. You need to pay for these educational programs and be self-sufficient, right? We didn't want to just keep relying on Bankless DAO for funding of our educational program. So I think really that's kind of where we're at today was this sequential step of, okay, we went from one venture DAO to having an educational program to becoming a platform of venture DAOs to like clicking into this business model of operating as an endowment where our treasury will co-invest in these venture DAOs. And the logic is, you believe in your members, you believe in the deal flow that's coming through. And, at some point you need to actually sustainably grow. And what better way than these, investing within the venture DAOs that your community is participating in, right? So that's kind of the evolution of Fight Club. That's where we currently stand. And we're probably going to evolve again at some point in the future. Because, as we keep increasing our membership base, people come up with such great ideas that you kind of want to support and kind of want to push it along as long as they're, within this concept of, okay, now we're kind of morphing into almost like an impact DAO with our educational programs. And at the same time, we're about democratizing investment opportunities, which is what Bankless DAO is about. So we have these two kind of mandates that we're working with. And, so far we've been able to kind of morph them and make them work together. So yeah, it's been an interesting adventure.
Yeah, that's great. You were talking about then also bootstrapping from Bankless DAO initially. And I think even Crypto Sapiens it's in this stage right now in terms of like, how do we create a more sustainable runway for us to build out these ideas together with the community? What did the transition look like there? And what are some of the things that are being built out within Fight Club to create this kind of self-sustaining project and community?
So in terms of Bankless DAO, we're structured as a sub-DAO. In terms of what we're building out, I think we've partnered with Coinocracy as our service provider for our venture DAO. So we are working with them on building out the smart contracts and the website. Like if you go to Metacartel or the LAO or any of the open law, like I think venture DAOs, it's having that like kind of unique front end. And that's something that we're working on with Coinocracy right now. So once we have those in place, and right now we're on Ring Feed plus now working out all the kinks within the smart contract. That can easily be spun up for any of these other venture DAOs. There is some logistics on the back end. Our first one is the Genesis Fund, which is a Web3 fund, and that's operating as a Delaware LLC. So there are some logistics that we have to go through from the legal standpoint of like incorporation with the Delaware LLC, getting a standard operating agreement, which is always kind of like a generic thing when it comes to a venture DAO because nobody really knows. It's still kind of, a test to an experiment in some regards because, even the oldest venture DAO is only like a year or two, so it hasn't really been tested. So it's been an interesting space. So, but that's, we're going through that process. We're figuring out the logistics. So from that standpoint, that's what we're building. In addition to our educational programs, we're building out the webinars. We're listening to what kind of topics our members are interested in and trying to figure out, can we create some sort of certification program, or is soulbound NFTs actually the way to go? And who are we going to use for soulbound NFTs? So there's all these little small, intricate and logistical steps that we're we're figuring out as we kind of go along.
Yeah, you now have brought up soulbound NFTs a few times, so I am going to have to dive into it a little bit with you and just curious to hear your thoughts on it. Now, again, a little bit of background for anybody who doesn't know, Crypto Sapiens hosts a few different podcasts, different series. One of them is in the space of Web3 identity, and we touch on, decentralized identity, reputation, non-transferable tokens as a way of, capturing both identity and reputation, because there's a lot of conversations and experimentation going on with this. What are your thoughts on it in terms of what are these soulbound NFTs? What is their role in Web3 projects like Fight Club? And how are they different from maybe some other way of capturing reputation?
So our use case for soulbound NFTs is in order for, I think, our educational participants to become, to have a credential, we're using soulbound NFTs, or we're in the process of using soulbound NFTs to signify that you've completed our program. And also in terms of, as I mentioned earlier, our due diligence program, we're using soulbound NFTs as a way to mark the deals that you've worked on so you can build your resume. I think our mandate for the educational program is we're trying to elevate communities using Web3 and crypto. And by elevating communities, that means we're providing them another route to access other job opportunities within the Web3 space, especially in the venture space. Typically, if you wanted to become any sort of venture analyst, you have to go to the right Ivy League school, then get a job as an investment banker, then go to business school, and then maybe you find yourself on a working for a VC fund. And now, at least with crypto venture investing, where you don't have to do that, right? It's really about what is your access to deal flow? How do you look at deal flow? The analytics for how you gauge crypto deals is a lot different than what you would look at a normal, angel investment deal. It's much easier to look at a traditional business and say, okay, this is what your business model is. We can kind of forecast out, what the comps are, in your team. Some aspects are similar, but I think in the crypto space, because everything is so new, there's a lot less comps in terms of actual analytics to do. So it's a little bit easier, I think, to break into crypto from a venture analyst side, but at the same time, it's not. So we're just providing an avenue for that regard. And soulbound NFTs is one way to actually have people say, okay, this is what I've actually done. And, this is my resume for it. And we have a project coming up with Play for Change DAO. That's a play to earn DAO in Rio de Janeiro. And they're actually in the favelas of Rio, teaching them how to play like Axie Infinity and providing education programs with them. So Fight Club is partnering with them to provide mentorship opportunities. They have a Web2 program initiative where some of the favela participants are learning how to program in Web2. So we're looking to, find them mentors and internships so that they can learn Web3 in a junior developer type of role. And another way for them to build their resume, because they're coming from an underserved, community that doesn't have a network within crypto, right? They don't even have a formal education, is with soulbound NFTs. Now they can say, I worked on this project. You can see what I've done. People can attest to what I've done. And now they're able to build a network within crypto. They can earn a lot more than what they're currently earning as a Web2 programmer in Brazil. I think right now they're earning maybe the equivalent of like $200 a month, And that's after they're, learning Web2. So it's absolutely ridiculous. What you can do if we can just elevate this, community of super hungry people into crypto and Web3, you're actually doing what crypto is meant to do, right? Which is help elevate communities. So that's our use case for soulbound NFTs. It's more as a resume builder than anything else.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you so much for the comprehensive breakdown to how you see these non-transferable assets like soulbound NFTs can potentially play a role in the project. I think that, a lot of this is really novel and interesting to see how, new ideas, new projects will also adopt these emergent technologies. So amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. You also started to explain a little bit about what differentiates, maybe traditional venture funding to maybe something like what we'll call decentralized venture funding. But maybe we can dive into it a little bit more to more clearly establish some of the ways that we can facilitate funding and access to funding projects, for example, in a decentralized project like what Fight Club is spinning up through its, venture funds, and compared to maybe something more in the traditional finance world?
Sure, that's not a problem. I think traditional venture funds, if you're not familiar with it, they start with a general partner, right? It's like a general partnership agreement. So they have general partners, and then the investors are all limited partners. So as an investor in a traditional venture fund, I give them my money and I rely on the general partner for deal flow and for making the decisions on what projects to invest. And typically my money is locked up for whatever duration of the fund is. Sometimes they say 5 to 10 years, or actually currently it's usually within 10 years, it's locked up. In a venture DAO space, everybody is a managing member. There is no GP. So everybody has the same position. You're responsible for sourcing deals. You're all responsible for voting on which deals to invest in. So everybody's kind of in it together. You can opt to delegate your right to make decisions, but traditionally venture DAOs are more of like a collaborative, like an investment club, where everybody is coming together to find deals and then to do the due diligence somewhat together. So that's I think the main differences between what a venture DAO and what a traditional venture fund is like. I think if you look at the current set of venture DAOs, some are actually structured more similar to an investment club. I think Honey DAO and Global Coin Research, they're more as an investment club where they'll bring in a deal. And if you want to participate, every person can choose and opt in to participate into that structure. And then a single SPV is spun up where members will then, co-invest in that SPV. And then the SPV goes into that particular deal. Venture DAO is slightly different. It's more similar to Medical Televentures and the LAO, where everybody is looking at the same proposals online and they're voting online, and the due diligence is done by each of the members, and every member has to come up with a decision. We're doing it a little bit different in Fight Club, whereas we have a due diligence team. So rather than each individual member coming up doing the due diligence themselves, they can opt to have a third party due diligence, which is Fight Club. The due diligence teams do the research for them.
Oh, that's incredible. Thank you. I mean, so again, like I said, I'm a noob when it comes to venture investment. So that was eye-opening and certainly a gateway into wanting to learn more. If there are other educational initiatives around this space, please do consider me as an early applicant, because I'd love to jump in and kind of learn a little bit more about how this works and certainly how decentralized organizations are going about it differently. So I did notice that there needs to be an accreditation for anyone who seeks to invest in a fund. So that accreditation, I think, is due to some sort of legal requirement. What does someone need to do? How does someone become accredited so that they can participate in these investment vehicles?
So I just want to clarify that the accreditation standard is only for a Genesis fund for U.S. investors. If you are non-U.S. investors, you don't need to be accredited per se. You can participate in early stage investing as long as it's not in a U.S. company without being accredited. So we have a specific venture DAO, the Genesis Fund, for U.S. investors only, and that requires U.S. people to be accredited. And that's the standard SEC accreditation rules. And I think that's basically your income for the past 2 years has to be $200,000 as a minimum, or you have $1 million in assets, not including your home. So that's just the standard SEC definition.
Wonderful. So for anything that doesn't fit within that criteria, it acts differently.
Yeah, and it's only because it's early stage investment. Say we have the NFT venture DAO, that's you don't need to be accredited at all because and if anybody can buy an NFT on the open market, so there's no need for accreditation there. And if we have like a gaming guild, same concept. You don't need to be accredited there either because again, anybody can buy an NFT on the open market. It only pertains to when you do early stage investment, U.S. investors.
Walk me through a little bit about the different NFTs that are available now and how, what each of those represent within the Fight Club community and project.
Yeah. So Fight Club right now is sub-DAO, Bankless DAO. So we had to gate it, or Discord. And so we have different NFTs for gating. We have a Gold Glove, which is the OG NFT. And that's basically for the original members who've been working hard. I mean, Fight Club has been around, I think, since Bankless DAO started. So it's been over a year that we've had people working on this nonstop for basically for free. I mean, we took a round of Bankless financing, but really it's essentially for free. And then we're still, I think, in the process of our Bankless DAO NFT mint. So you have to be a level 1 member to mint the Red Glove NFT, and all the minting's done on Polygon. And we're getting ready for our public mint of NFTs, which is the Black Glove. And that's open pretty much to basically the public to participate in the Fight Club. We're not offering a lot. It's basically 1,000 public NFTs that will be made available. And that's in general because, we're a small DAO. We'd like to build out in stages. And we're also coming up, actually, we just talked about it in the Discord, and I think people are okay with it. I don't know if we have to do a poll yet. About a kind of we call it like a fighter NFT, where for people who want to work their way in, we understand that, we want to be as inclusive as possible. That's kind of our goal with Fight Club. It's, investments are for everybody. So, and we understand this market is kind of a difficult market. So we are coming out with like a white glove NFT where people can basically join Fight Club, do a couple of bounties, and when they do a bounty, they earn cake. So the fighter gets fatter. As you do more bounties, you get cake and you become fatter. And then you move up a weight class as a fighter. You start off as a featherweight, and then you become a welterweight, and then you become middleweight, heavyweight, and then you just become a sumo wrestler. And when you become a sumo wrestler, that's when you get like your Fight Club NFT and you're officially a member. So we had fun kind of playing around and coming up with themes about how people can work their way into Fight Club.
Yeah, I love that. I love the whole like memification of something, like really getting into something like a pun or whatever, and just kind of having that be a hook and something fun within the project. So I think that that's really rad. The different weight classes to then earn your way in. Yeah, no, I'm very excited for that. Obviously, being a Bankless DAO L1 member myself, I hold the Red Glove, and I'm very excited to see this project continue to grow and obviously having it be a bigger part of the Web3 ecosystem. So as we close out here, give us an idea of like what we can expect in the near future for Fight Club, and I guess maybe some of the ways that people can connect if they're interested in joining the Fight Club initiative.
Obviously, follow us on Twitter, fight_club_VC, and join our Discord. As I said, you can come in as a guest pass and be part of our trial run of fighters, where you can contribute to the DAO. Or you can wait till our if you wanted to, you can wait for our public mint, which I feel it should be coming up soon. We're already in July. So by the end of this month, we should have everything ready to go with our public mint. Again, it's on Polygon, so less gas fees. And that's pretty much it. Just join us in Discord. We're kicking up our Twitter spaces where we're going through due diligence runs and having some founders of projects come and speak live on Twitter space. Our second educational cohort is going to start, I think, in the same time that the public NFT launch is going to start. So our program is going to be more widely accessible. It's currently only accessible to Fight Club members and Bankless level 1 members, which is basically all the Fight Club members. So it's not as diversified as much as we would want, but that was our MVP. So, we feel like we've done a pretty good job with our MVP. And, just jump in there and make suggestions. I think I'd like to think that we're a pretty open group, and, we value everybody's commitment and ideas. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We love to have people participate.
And that's a wrap. I really enjoyed my chat with Tesa. I especially enjoyed learning about the collaboration that is happening in the Venture DAO ecosystem. To connect with Tesa, please follow her on Twitter at DeFi Noob. That's noob with 2 zeros instead of 2 O's. And to learn more about Fight Club, go to fightclub.vc and on Twitter at fight_club_VC. Thanks for listening to Crypto Sapiens. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a 5-star review wherever you enjoy your podcasts. It costs $0, means the world to us, and helps others discover this content too. You can also find more conversations like this one by visiting our website at cryptosapiens.xyz. I look forward to reconnecting with you at our next discussion.